Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social podcast, and I'm so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your business. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? I know I do. And I am so excited to have Jordan with me today. Welcome, Jordan.
Thanks, Lorraine. I am so excited for some verbal caffeine today. I want more of it.
Right, you do, but you're also going to be giving it too. So
I want more of it. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear what you're going to have to say. But before I start, why don't you just tell the audience a little bit about what you do?
Thank you. I'm Jordan Ilderton. I am going into my 8th year of business. I own Ilderton Bookkeeping and Advisory. My background is accounting and numbers. So it does kind of confuse people what I do now. I work high-level one-to-one VIP coaching with my clients and really support them in a way that most coaches can't. A lot of coaches do not know how to use data, how to use numbers, the back end of QuickBooks Online. Like I can work QuickBooks Online like the back of my hand. I am technically a CPA, but I do not file taxes, but I can speak the language. I can, talk to the tax preparers with my clients. I can talk to their CFPs. I'm kind of in between that person that's like, translating for them. And then, my main thing is peaceful and profitable. I want my clients to feel peaceful around their numbers, know that their data is correct, know that they have everything, have their stuff together. And then we really use that to increase their profit, which means obviously we're pressing the revenue lever and making sure expenses are in check. So that is what I do to support my clients, really working with them to create 6, 7-figure businesses. So we have all across the spectrum. Some are brand new when they come to me trying to get their first clients. Some have been in business 14 years, multi-7 figures, and they are trying to get a good foundation and good framework to really even know how profitable they are. So I'm wearing multiple hats, working with people across the board, but in a nutshell, supporting them to be peaceful and profitable.
Now, why the change? Why the change from being a typical bookkeeper?
I love bookkeeping. My brain loves, when I took my first accounting class, I was like, oh, I'm home. Like my brain just loves for things to be in a certain place and everything to balance. So the first 5 years of my business was bookkeeping. I had 1 to 3 kids at home. I was working nap times and night times and, doing everything in their books, sending the reports and just knowing these business owners kind of on a personal level and working with some of them for years and years. I was just realizing that like, there's an elephant in the room. Like there are things going on in the books that I see that no one's talking about, or I'll send them the reports. They're like, thanks, I don't know what to do with this. And I was just like, like record scratch. Like that really is like a red flag to me. So when my girls got a little bit older and we're all in daycare, I really did some training about advisory services and got, kind of a good background in that. And then that is kind of even more developed into coaching because those advisory services were so buttoned up, left brain, masculine energy type of thing. And really what I see my clients needing support with is mindset, strategy, organize, implement. Like that's my framework, constantly moving through it. I just see them as a whole human and not just like, okay, here's the numbers. Let me throw some spreadsheets and data up here for you. But we're really like working together and I'm supporting them in their business. And it's just so fun. It's just like, I love my clients. I love seeing them and talking to them. And it's just, I get to use that bookkeeping left brain side in a whole different way. And I'm really good at marketing. I'm really good at supporting them to like own their work and own their worth and get out there and sell and talk to their audience. And like, I love just bringing all of that together with them.
That's awesome. Being a business owner myself, one of the things when I first started out in business was, that the money word was always like a bad word. It's like, I remember one time my husband said, you do have to invoice people every once in a while, but it's interesting because what would you say, I knew what my challenges were with money, but what would you say is the number one challenge that people have with money and their books and earning money and being profitable?
That's a great question. I would say typically the biggest thing and what people tend to hire me for is they want to stick their head in the sand. They don't trust themselves on so many levels. Looking at their books, knowing the numbers, understanding them. They don't trust themselves to show up online and get visible. They don't trust themselves to be able to, create an organic marketing strategy. Like they feel like they need to buy some template or pay some ads or somebody else knows better. So really the biggest problem I see, what I love working with them on, is like self-trust and being able to figure things out, or knowing what they need to know and maybe delegating the other pieces. So it's just such a big thing. Is like, we go into business and we can do something so well, but we can't do everything. And so it's that self-trust piece of like, I'm either going to figure it out and look at it and have someone support me, or I'm going to delegate. So I'm working with them to really be like, hey, the numbers aren't scary. They are there whether you use them or not. So why don't we use it? And going into Google Analytics 4, like we can see how many people go to your website. Like it doesn't need to be a mystery. Like we can figure all of this out. So definitely self-trust, trusting themselves, and just, feeling like everybody else knows better type of thing.
Absolutely. There's many ways to grow a business. And when you look at the numbers, you know exactly what you have to do to grow it. So what would you say are some ways that you can grow a business?
I think it depends. That's a good question. Let me think. So, a lot of my clients, like if they're getting started and they don't have any clients yet, we're kind of looking at like the literal foundational pieces of QuickBooks Online, getting their books set up, getting those, attached to QuickBooks. Like we're doing that. And we're like, okay, what do your offers look like? How are we building out your sales process so that your audience can get to know you and like you and trust you? And then it makes it like an easy next step for them. So that's kind of the first piece of building a business, is like literally getting those foundational pieces and creating safety, because you don't want to get more clients if you don't feel safe with what's going to happen on the back end. Or you're like, well, I don't know what to do about taxes. You're unconsciously blocking yourself from clients and money because you're so freaked out about how you're going to handle it on the back end. So creating that safety first off for you and as the business owner and your potential clients, so they know that they're safe to take the easy next step with you. It's not going from zero to working with you for a year in one big jump. It's literally just like a baby step for them, having a sales process that always has people coming up and ready to buy from you. So that's kind of the biggest thing I would see with like growing your revenue and growing your business, is like creating safety on all fronts for you as the business owner and for them as the potential client.
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot of numbers that you can track when it comes to looking at your business, the profit, how much you're charging, so what, there may be more, maybe there's some that I can't even list, or I probably track them and don't even know. But so what are those numbers that we should be tracking?
Well, there's a few best practices that I really recommend. It's definitely entering and reconciling in your books every month. Because when you are looking at the profit and loss, like we had a client who I was looking at the profit and loss and I'm like, why is this not going up? Like, why is the net income not going up? And I realized that he had a different bookkeeper that was not us, but this could happen to anyone. They recorded a bank transfer as a bank expense. So $4,000 was, an expense that was actually a transfer. So that shouldn't show up on the profit and loss. That's just balance sheet from one account to another account. But it was an expense, $4,000 on their profit and loss. So it's like, we literally, air quotes for those of you who can't see me, but we increased their profit by $4,000 because we found this, accounting error. And so like, obviously looking at the profit and loss, but looking and making sure that every month you're entering and reconciling transactions, that you are clearing up anything that is, funky, that didn't clear or didn't go through, and you're questioning it. Like we've had other clients that sent invoices for like $17,000. Someone on their team who wasn't trained properly received the payment in QuickBooks. QuickBooks processed it and closed it out, but it didn't actually process in the, QuickBooks payment side. So they actually didn't get that money, but QuickBooks said they did. So we're like, this $17,000, we can't find it in the bank. So that would have been money that they literally walked out the door. Someone took this high ticket item for free. And so that like, okay, their books looked good, but the cash wasn't there. So this is kind of like the thing under the thing that people talk about with coaching, is like, you can look at, the profit and loss and gross profit, but like literally if the pieces that make that up are just CRAP, then like it's not doing you any good. So before we talk about exactly what to look at, that's like my call to everyone is to just make sure your data is correct. It sounds so obvious, but it is insane. Every single client that I work with, every single one-to-one that comes in, we dig in their books and we find $2,000 to $50,000, like sometimes literal cash and sometimes just money that is incorrectly flowing through in funky ways. So that is my first call to action. Does that kind of make sense? And then I can go
Yeah,
into
no, I
everything.
mean, I'm just thinking about QuickBooks here. It's actually been a long time. I don't use QuickBooks for my business, but my husband does, and I used to do the books for my husband. And I just remember when we switched from QuickBooks Pro to the QuickBooks Pro Online, and everything kind of changed. Like it wasn't the same way, and I was like so used to doing it. But I know that whole thing about, so we hired somebody to do this for him because he would like hand me invoices in a paper bag. I'm like, Bill, I can't even figure this out. So she got them all straightened out and everything. And I remember she would like, because you have to reconcile with the bank. It's like, something's not adding up right. And it was like, and she was good because she was a solution solver and everything. It was hysterical. And I'm like, and so she's asking me questions because I was the one that used to do it. And like, I have no idea because I didn't want to become proficient at QuickBooks Online. Who knows? Maybe at some point I'll go back to QuickBooks. I actually did think it was a nice software. Years ago, I remember working for somebody where I did Peachtree. I absolutely hated Peachtree.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
QuickBooks Online is all we support clients with because I'm not going to try to get trained on every platform.
No, I agree. And actually it's a great platform. There was something that changed though, that it wasn't for the good. And I don't even remember what it was anymore, but it was, mine is more, my business is more of I send out a proposal and I use proposal software. It goes into that, then it goes right into my Stripe. So I get all my numbers through that. So it's like, should I use QuickBooks? I have no idea. Maybe someday I will. I'm afraid.
Are looking at Stripe, they're looking at their bank account. They're like, I've got cash in there. I've got that. And I'm like, okay, well, for the people we set up with QuickBooks Online, it's like, okay, you've got expenses going out. Let's get those captured too, because we want to make sure that we have the whole picture. And then, we want to talk about like, okay, you're looking at your revenue, you're looking at your gross profit, net income, you're looking kind of at your, average transaction value, new customers coming in, repeat customers. You're looking at Google Analytics 4, like how many people are going to your landing page, how many people are taking that next step, like maybe booking a call or getting the free download. Like you can set up funnels so that you can see like where the kink in the hose is. Like, okay, great, we've gotten 10 people on our landing page and 5 of them bought. We have a great conversion rate. We just need more traffic. Or, we've had 200 people to the landing page and only 1 person has bought. So we know that the problem there is our, conversion rate. So you can kind of use the data there, like pieces of like, okay, where's the kink in the hose? What's the problem I need to solve right now? Because other people are out there like, hey, I need to raise prices. I need a new offer, when it's literally like that $4,000 bank transfer just, messed up your profit and loss, and your profit is actually way better than you thought. But if you're going down the wrong, rabbit hole, you're going to think something wrong is over here, when it's literally like, just fix your numbers and it's going to look so much better.
I remember I used to print out these really cool reports for my husband. And it's like, that's something that I can't do like with what I'm currently using now. So it's like, yeah, maybe someday I'll go back to QuickBooks. So
I think it's so worth the money. It's like, I don't know, $30 to $70 a month. Like that's my opinion.
And everybody like my husband's bookkeeper, for instance, she uses it. So, and that's what she's proficient at. And it's like, it just so makes sense, especially for him. He's, brick and mortar. He's a plumbing contractor. It makes sense to him. So, it works. And I think that, and, it's funny. It's like in his head, like in the olden days before they had QuickBooks, it's like the good business people knew in their head exactly how much they had to make, and I think in a sense, I believe we all have that. And I think sometimes a lot of people, when they're scared of numbers, is they don't want to know the numbers because they know either They're not going to be where they want. Like I always have these lofty goals. Every year I put $1 million down on my thing. Am I going to make $1 million in a year? Maybe one of those years I will, but I put it there just to like something to reach out for, but it's just kind of funny.
It's nice too. Like we had a client that's been in business for 14 years and she has multiple locations and, she does over $1,000 of cash every day. But her books were a mess. And we spent the first 6 months kind of getting that framework. And then now we're working on the growth piece of it. But it was so interesting to see, like we broke down her monthly overhead and we broke it down by day just to give her an idea of cash needs. And like she intuitively knew what those cash needs were, but it was so fun to actually see that play out in the numbers and be like, okay, you're not crazy. You're not making this up. Like I thought it was beautiful that she had that idea of it, but it just gave her kind of like a safety thing to just be like, okay, I actually do know this is actually something I can figure out. And now we really know, like, okay, literally, if this is the cash needs for the day, this is what we want to take home. It's just a matter of the math of like, okay, well, what's that revenue number need to be? Okay, well, what does that look like in terms of people coming in and buying? Like, it just is like puzzle pieces we can fit together to be like, actually, that's like really doable, like it doesn't feel like this pie in the sky, like maybe everything will fall into place and we'll get the revenue we want, but it's literally like, okay, we back into it. And then we set up these strategies and frameworks to like get you there. So yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you discover too, is like, even when you are profitable, that there are places where you're losing money, and I think discovering that and being able to say, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. And I'm sure there's a lot of those when working with you. I'm sure there's a lot of those aha moments, So I'm going to switch gears here a little bit because, this is about the business owner. So what is your favorite part about owning your own business now? And what do you like the best about it?
Oh, I love that question. I don't know if anyone's asked you that. I love meeting new people and working with them to support their business. Like I love what we're doing right now, like talking to you, Lorraine, and meeting you. And then somehow, out there being, in your listeners' ears and like just connecting with people, especially after COVID and like after having kids at home, small kids, it's nice to just like be out and like talk to people and really be someone in their corner. Like I do not take it lightly at all that my clients have me on their journey. Like it's just such an honor. I just love all my clients. They're amazing humans. They're making huge strides for, the world and people and society. And so like, I just don't take it lightly that I'm on the journey with them to help them like reach more people and just have a better impact on things. So I'd say that was the biggest piece of connecting and just supporting people to really like their magic, because it's just such an honor.
Yeah, I get that. I feel the same way about my business too. So I love just, when I'm helping someone that's on something that they really don't want to do. And, and it's just like, I like doing it. So why not?
Yeah.
So we always talk about, everybody talks about the glamour of someone owning a business and it's how impressive they are. And your friends are like, wow, that's like really cool. But, we have challenges too. What would you say is your biggest challenge with owning your own business?
First of all, I think it's hilarious that someone would think it'd be like glamorous to own a business. Like, that's hilarious. Glamour is a lot of things, but glamorous is not what, like, they must be like totally not in the entrepreneur spectrum. But the parts that are tricky are like my 3 girls, like they're in camps these days during the summer, and a camp like will unexpectedly be like, oh, and on Friday you're going to need to be here an hour early because there's a performance, and I'm like, well, this is my childcare time. Like I didn't allocate, an hour to be there. And so my kids think I'm a jerk because I'm like, I'm working during this time. No, I cannot see this, talent show at basketball camp that you're not even going to be in. Like, so they think I'm a jerk because I'm working, and so it's that balance of like, I love a flexible schedule. I love, working, when I choose to and kind of making it around, I work just barely over part-time and I pay myself $10K a month. So that is just not able to be done in the, kind of 9 to 5 working for somebody world. And it comes with the trade-offs of my kids might think I'm a jerk sometimes, or sometimes I'm working at nighttime, or sometimes I'm, doing this and that and, feeling like a person with a chicken with my head cut off or whatever. Like there's just so many moving pieces going on. And I've set up amazing systems and processes in my business. And yet a kid could, get called home sick from school. Like you just, are dealing with things like that all the time as an entrepreneur. And it's like the biggest lesson in personal development. That is the thing that is the hardest. It brings up so much stuff that on a regular basis, you probably wouldn't deal with, like rejection, getting visible, making your offer, like so much stuff that like you wouldn't have to work through if you were just a regular person going to a job. So that would be my number one, is just the personal development and the going deep and, revealing different layers and levels of yourself that, like becoming a parent, like your heart just cracks wide open. Like entrepreneurship just does kind of the same thing. So that's a long answer, but that would be.
No, that's good. It just brought me back to, my first days when I started my own business. And I remember, so my business is an online business. So it was like, I have had an email marketing plan. I had an online plan. I had all these different plans. And I just remember when I got my first unsubscriber, and I was like, and now, I don't even care if I get an unsubscriber, but the problem is back then I did. And it was like, somebody said to me one day when I was with a group of entrepreneurs, and why are you so upset about an unsubscriber? And I thought about it. It's like, I didn't even really know why I was upset. Just the fact that, and then she said, well, maybe they're just not a good fit for you. Or maybe, you're not a good fit for them. And that's probably better than anything. Why do you want somebody on your list that will probably never do business with you? So looking at it from that perspective, but I remember how ridiculous I felt being so upset about one unsubscriber.
Yeah. And I talked to a business owner recently. He was kind of a new one. And he was like, if I just work hard enough, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it takes so much more than hard work. Like if it just took hard work to run a successful business, we'd all be billionaires. Because I don't know any entrepreneur that is lazy, but it takes so much just like grit and like perseverance and honesty and all these other attributes that like people just think, oh, if I just work hard enough, I'll get the results. And that is just so far from, and our society has taught us like, just work hard. And like, yes, hard work is a huge piece of it, but like, there are so many other layers and levels, like what you dealt with the unsubscriber or somebody saying no, or, whatever, like, it's just so much deeper than that.
Absolutely. This is going to be the final question. There are a lot of business owners out there there are a lot of people out there right now that are that are listening to this show right now that are just starting out, or they're seasoned a little bit, kind of discouraged a little bit, or they're booming. So there's 3 different levels of people listening to the show. What would be one universal piece of advice that you could give that will help them move forward, maybe, or just encourage them?
Big question. My thing, because, I'm all about peaceful and profitable. And for me, peace kind of comes to this underlying self-trust, like self-trust to figure it out. Like no matter what happens, I can plan for everything. I can set up systems and processes, but in the end, I need to trust that these will work. Or if they don't, I will figure it out. Or, if I'm in this far in my sales process and things aren't going the way I want them, I trust myself to navigate it and make tweaks and changes, and, trust yourself to stay in it for long enough so that it plays out and works. Because most people want to tap out. We live in an Amazon Instant Pot society. They just want to like, I didn't get immediate results. This must not be the thing. So like just the self-trust to like keep going and know that you'll figure it out no matter what. It's just kind of like my wish for like my clients, for everyone out there.
Absolutely. Well, I want to really thank you for being a part of my show. And I know I resonated with you. If there's anybody out there that resonated with you, do you have something to share with them or offer, or how they can get in touch with you? Whatever that would be.
Thank you, Lorraine. Yes, I am online. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Peaceful and Profitable Entrepreneurs. I go live every week. The easiest thing is just kind of my website. It's ildertonbookkeepingllc.com. I've had it for 8 years. I didn't really change that when I went the advisory route, but I do have a freebie on there. It's called How I Pay Myself 10K Months, 5 questions you can steal for your own 5-figure profit month. Like I said, I pay myself $10K take home every month. I have 3 kids. I work fairly over part-time. This freebie is not just like a done for you template. Like, here, take these, XYZ steps and you're going to be in the same place. It's really 5 questions and a way of thinking about being a business owner and how to think like someone who pays themselves $10K a month in part-time hours. Like, I am so a proponent of, not these like online templates or strategy in a box things. I think it's just a total lie, online BS, really about building your own business. So I have this freebie out there. It's just a great way for people to learn, how to think and really like get clear on things, and just questions that they can always have in their back pocket to figure out how to build that self-trust and how to build a business that, pays them $10K a month and feels really good.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again. And until next week, everyone, I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram at BizGoneSocial for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.